Welcome and good evening. This is Commish Orr, and I want to welcome you to Game 5 of the Baseball Maelstrom World Series between the Detroit Rockets and the St. Louis Wizards. The Rockets lead this series 3-1. The Wizards facing elimination in this game. Wizards came into the World Series heavy favorites, but this is why we play the game. Because the Rockets offense has done what they've needed to do to get up 3-1 in this series. Today's starters for the Wizards is Juan Marichal. During the regular season, he had a record of 7-3 with a 2.39 ERA, the best ERA in the entire Maelstrom. He'll be facing off against Brett Saberhagen again. Saberhagen was 9-3 with a 3.84 ERA. And let's take a look and see what how these pitchers fared in their first face-off against one another. And the last time these pitchers faced off against one another was Game 2, which was the marathon game that went 14 innings. Saberhagen allowed 4 earned runs in his 8 innings of work. Marichal only allowed 2 earned runs in his 8 innings of work, but Bruce Sutter blew that save in the 9th inning as the Rockets scored 2 runs on Sutter to force extra innings. They then scored 6 runs in the 14th inning. Most of those against Warren Spahn. A couple of those against Fergie Jenkins. And that was all she wrote for the Wizards in Game 2. So let's see how they fare, how these two teams fare in Game 5. First of all, we will go over the starting lineups. It's much going to be the same as the lineups that you've seen so far, with a couple of tweaks, maybe one tweak. So for the Wizards, they're sticking with their lineup here. Oscar Charleston leading off and playing center field. Tony Gwynn DHing, batting second. Larry Walker batting third in right field. Stan Musial is in left field, batting cleanup still. Stan, who led in most of the power categories in the National League, has not shown that yet in this World Series. Willie McCovey batting fifth at first base. Ted Simmons behind the plate, batting sixth. Ron Santo at third base, batting seventh. Rogers Hornsby batting eighth and playing second base. And finally, the Wizard himself, Ozzie Smith, at shortstop and batting ninth for the Wizards. For the Rockets, slightly different lineup here against righties. Kenny Lofton leading off in center field. Ichiro Suzuki in right field, batting second. Alex Rodriguez batting third at shortstop. Dick Allen in the cleanup spot at first base. Adrian Beltre moves up to the number 5 spot again against the right-handed Marichal here. He's playing third base. Blackwell will be DHing, batting sixth. Bobby Veach back in the lineup, playing left field here. Bill Freehan again behind the plate, batting eighth. And normally Lou Whitaker would be batting ninth here against a right-handed starter, but Bobby Grich has been so good during the series so far, surprisingly good, that Detroit has him batting ninth. They're looking to end things here in Detroit, so the series doesn't go back to St. Louis. And if they are able to do so, I guess they want Bobby Grich out there in this game. So, with all that said, once again, we're playing in Detroit at Tiger Stadium, the 1983 version of Tiger Stadium. And with all that said, we are ready for the first pitch as the Wizards once again, as a reminder, face elimination. Saberhagen deals to Charleston, and that is a tough 64, and Charleston's going to fly out to Bobby Veach in left field for out number 1. That brings up Tony Gwynn. Gwynn hitting .389 in this series. Tough 83, and Gwynn will fly out to Lofton in center for out number 2. I just realized they don't have my charts up again, so let's do that real quick. Once again, I use the ID Jester running charts. I use the, obviously, the payoff pitch charts. And I also have the game booklet here for the rare plays. All right. Now that I've done that, let's Larry Walker stepping in against Saberhagen. In play 86, and that's going to be a 1-2-3 inning for Saberhagen as Walker grounds out to Grich at second. Saberhagen on 3 days rest, which he has not pitched on 3 days rest this year, so they're going to be keeping an eye on him. Maybe he may not last the full number of innings he normally would. We head to the bottom of the first. Kenny Lofton facing off against Juan Marichal here. In play 58. And Lofton's going to ground out here to McCovey at first. McCovey takes it himself for out number 1. Ichiro Suzuki. Ichiro led the American League in hitting, the best batting average, but he's only hitting 143 in the World Series here. Patient 19. And that will be a base hit. It's only his 3rd hit of the series. Ichiro rounds first here. And Detroit happy to get their first base runner in this game. Ichiro looking to get a lead, but doesn't get a good lead here. Alex Rodriguez steps in and he'll hit away. Tough 86. And that is a ground out to short. Since this is an 8 and it's higher than both the DP ratings here, it's just going to be a fielder's choice here. Ozzie Smith tosses it over to Hornsby to force Ichiro at second. 2 outs and Rodriguez is now on first, and he doesn't look to get a jump here. Dick Allen's hitting away here. Dick Allen hitting .263 this series. Tough out 65. Now, normally on a tough play, a tough 65 would have been a base hit for Allen here, but because it was a tough out, once it gets beyond the strikeout range here, you go right to the out section. And instead, Allen grounds out to Hornsby to end the inning. It's one of the little advantages of Marichal's card here is that tough out spot, and especially in the position that it's in, it's going to come up quite a bit. Oops. So we go to the top of the second, and Stan Musial facing off against Saberhagen. Tough 50. And that is going to be a ground out to first. Allen actually flips it to Saberhagen, who is covering first base. When this pitcher number shows a 0-1 or a 2, I believe, it is a 3-1 instead of an unassisted 3. I think I have those numbers right. Willie McCovey. And that's a wheelhouse 77. Saberhagen leaves one right over the plate, and McCovey takes this one deep. The Wizards, the first ones on the board in this one, they go up 1-0. Rockets fans, quiet, as that is McCovey's first homer of the series. It's only his second hit of the series. Ted Simmons steps in. Saberhagen composing himself there on the mound. Tough 32. And Simmons is going to get a clean single right over the second baseman. Gritch wasn't able to get to that one. So Simmons on first base here. He does not look to get a lead of any kind. Ron Santos steps in. One down and Simmons on first. As another tough 32. And this time it's going to be a strikeout. It was the same roll as before. The only reason I knew it was a different result was because the numbers down here changed. So in steps Hornsby. Simmons still on first. Ballpark, this could be trouble. That's going to be a wheelhouse, and Hornsby takes this one deep. And just like that, the Wizards are up 3-0 here in the second inning. Rockets fans not happy. Of course, the Rockets offense can get right back into this one if they have enough time to do so. But definitely some concern there over Saberhagen's ability to get deep into this game. Ozzie Smith with 2 outs, no runners on. Tough 69, and that will be a ground out to end the inning. Rodriguez over to Allen for out number 3, but not before the damage is done. The Wizards score 3 runs on 3 hits with 2 big home runs there to take that 3-0 lead. Let's see if the Rockets can respond in the bottom of the second. Beltre, tough 75, and that's going to be a fly out to Charleston there in center for out number 1. Charlie Blackwell steps in. Blackwell hitting .471 this series. 8 for 17. In play 13, and that's going to be a base hit for Blackwell. Blackwell now hitting .500 on the series. Jump of 6, so he's not going to go anywhere. Bobby Veach steps in, hoping to get something started here. Tough 38. It's beyond the tough range here, and that's going to be a pop out to Santo at third for out number 2. Bill Freehan, he was 0 for 5 in game 2 with 2 strikeouts. Let's see what he does here. Tough 93, and that is going to be a fly out to left. Musial under it for out number 3. Rockets go down quietly in the second inning. Saberhagen will face the top of the order here. Oscar Charleston. Tough 37, and Charleston hits that one into the gap. And he's into second, standing up. Good start to the third inning for the Wizards. Even though that's below the steal rating of 5, it's not doubles, so he is not going to try to get a lead to go to third here, or steal third. Tony Gwynn. Tough 56. Gwynn's not much of a strikeout threat here. 56, and that is a ground out to third. Beltre looks Charleston back and sends it over to first for out number 1. Larry Walker. Walker's hitting .278 this series. And that could be trouble. That is left a little too far over the plate, and Walker is going to take this one deep. That is 2 more runs for the Wizards. We'll see if they leave Saberhagen in there too much longer. Detroit fans not happy. They're going to leave him in there for now. And he will face Stan Musial. Tough 39. And Stan pops out to Dick Allen there at first base for out number 2. Willie McCovey, who homered to get their run scoring started in the second inning. Tough 46. This time he grounds out to third, and Beltre has an easy play over to first for out number 3, but not before 2 more runs are scored. St. Louis up 5-0 now at this point. Bobby Grich, the hero of yesterday's game, steps in. Tough 67, and he gets a base hit to lead off the third inning. Grich is on first here. That sends us back to the top of the order. Kenny Lofton, he's not going to go anywhere. Lofton in play 63. That is not going to be good. That is, Lofton doesn't hit into very many double plays, but this one was right at Santo, who tosses it over to Hornsby and over to McCovey for the double play. 5-4-3 here. Ichiro Suzuki steps in with 2 outs and nobody on. Tough 92. And that is a ground out to Hornsby to end the inning. The Rockets' offense going down quietly here in the first 3 innings. Saberhagen is back on the mound to start the 4th inning here. He'll face Simmons to lead things off. In play 24, and that's another base hit for Simmons. Simmons not going anywhere here. Santos steps in. Tough 72. That is a ground out to second, and that 8 means it's going to be a force out at second here, 4-6. So Santo now is on first. And 3 jump and a 3 jump here means we're going to roll to see if he attempts to steal. 53, so a 3 and a 7 hold. 3 and a 7 hold. 3 and a 7 hold. 50 or above, he does not attempt, so he will stay put. Hornsby. Hornsby had the 2-run homer in the second inning. He's hitting .412 this series. He hit under 200, I think, during the regular season. Ballpark, this is not good. 38. That is going to be another wheelhouse, and that's going to be another 2-run homer for Hornsby. And the Rockets fans are booing at this point. That will be all for Saberhagen. Saberhagen not able to get past the 4th inning here. Saberhagen lasts 3 1/3 only. And now they will look to eat some innings here, but also hopefully stay close in this game. They're going to turn things over to David Cohn again. Actually, they'll go to Tiant. Louis Tiant will come in. He hasn't pitched in a while, since earlier in the series. So Saberhagen, another rough start here for Saberhagen. He didn't have a super rough start in game 2. He allowed only 4 earned runs, but here he's allowed 7 in 3 1/3. Not good. So Tiant comes in to face Ozzie Smith with 1 down. It's another ballpark. Lefty, that's going to be a wheelhouse, but Ozzie Smith doesn't really have any power. That's going to be a fly out to Ichiro in right for out number 2. Oscar Charleston. Patient 46, and that is going to be another double for Charleston. This one off the wall. There is a play at second, but Charleston's able to get in there. And so now we have a runner on second with 2 down. See if Charleston gets a jump. He does not. Tony Gwynn in play 46, and that is going to be an RBI single for Gwynn. Charleston with some speed. He scores easily, and now Gwynn is on first. Gwynn will have a 7 steal here against a hold of 5. 47. 7, 5, 47. So Gwynn is going to attempt to steal. He's a B. Freehand has a very good arm. B1, 82 though. I think that's going to be high enough. B1, 82. Yep. So Gwynn steals second, and now he's in scoring position. He doesn't try to get a jump for third. So Larry Walker steps in. Patient 87, and that's another hit by pitch. Walker has been hit a couple of times this postseason. That's his third time hit by that he's been hit. And so we have runners on first and second now with 2 outs. And up steps Stan Musial, who is only hitting 143 this season, or this series. Patient 37, that is going to be a double. And that's going to score both Gwynn and Walker with 2 outs. And this is a 10-0 game. This one's getting out of hand for the Rockets. Doesn't look likely that they are going to be able to close things out here in Detroit. McCovey in play 37, and finally they're going to get out of this inning as McCovey grounds out to Allen, who takes it to the bag himself for out number 3, but not before 5 big runs for the Wizards. And they now have a 10-0 lead. Marischal's still cruising here. We'll see with such a big lead how far they let him go into the game. He'll face Alex Rodriguez here. And he strikes him out. That is his first strikeout of the game. Which brings up Dick Allen. In play 96. That's going to be a fly out to left. And we are to Adrian Beltre stepping in. Tough out 20, and that's another strikeout. That one right on the corner. Beltre watches it. All he can do is shake his head. And that's very quickly the end of the 4th inning. Tiant still on the mound to face Simmons. Simmons, who's 2 for 2 this game. Is hitting .357 on the series. Oops. Need to roll that. In play 67. So that's going to be a ground out to Rodriguez at short for the first out. Ron Santo, who's 0 for 2 today. He's only has 1 hit this series, 1 for 15. He is going to draw a walk. So Santo takes first base. He doesn't look to get a jump. And that brings up Hornsby, who is the star of the St. Louis offense today. 2 for 2 with 2 two-run homers. Tough 74. He won't get one this time as he flies out to Lofton in center for out number 2. Ozzie Smith in play 22. That's going to be a base hit. Santo gets to third, so now we have runners on the corners with 2 down, and we're back to the top of the lineup with Charleston. Charleston walks, and that loads the bases. Tony Gwynn steps in with the bases loaded and 2 out. Tough 69, but that's going to get them out of the inning here as Rodriguez takes it himself to second, unassisted to end the inning. So Tiant able to get out of the inning, but not without some shakiness. Marichal facing off against Blackwell. And that's going to be another strikeout as Blackwell watches strike 3 go by. Bobby Veach, 0 for 1 today. He's hitting .333 this series. Patient 66, and that one hits Veach. So Veach takes first base. Bill Freehand steps in. He's 0 for 6 so far this series. In play 20. That's going to be his first base hit of the series. Veach doesn't have any speed, so he's going to hold up at second. And that brings up Bobby Grich. Grich had a single in the 3rd inning. But this time he is struck out. That's 2 down, and we are to the top of the order. Kenny Lofton. In play 40. That's going to be a pop out to Hornsby at second. And it's another scoreless inning for the Rockets. Tiant still out there for the 6th. He'll face Larry Walker. And that's going to be a base hit to start the inning here for Walker. Walker will have a jump. Let's see if he does anything. 4 and a 5. That's going to be too high. 4 and a 5. He would have needed a 0 to 39 to attempt it. Stan Musial, who did have a 2-run double in the 4th here. In play 97. This time, though, he flies out to Ichiro in right field for the first out. Willie McCovey steps in. Tough 47, and that one is a ground out to 3rd. 7 is going to be too high to be a double play, but it is going to be a fielder's choice 5 to 4. Walker out at second, and we have McCovey on first base now. McCovey with no stealing potential. It brings up Ted Simmons. In play 92, and Tiant looks a little bit better in this inning. Another scoreless inning for the Wizards. Marichal pitching against Suzuki here. Tough 58. And that is going to be a ground out to 3rd for out number 1. Alex Rodriguez steps in. In play 34. And A-Rod pops that one up behind the plate. And Simmons hauls that one in for out number 2. Dick Allen. Patient 66. That's going to be a base hit for Dick Allen. Allen on first with a single. Doesn't look to get a jump at all. Adrian Beltre steps in with 2 out. In play 87. And that's going to be ground out to Ozzie Smith, who takes it to the bag himself for the 3rd out. Another scoreless inning for Marichal. A return to form for him to what he looked like during the regular season. Tiant has now pitched 2 2/3 innings. And he is coming out of this one. 7, so they have 3 innings left. Ten to nothing. They bring out Urban Shocker, who is their the guy they bring in when the game is pretty much not close. So Shocker's going to come in to face the bottom of the order here. Shocker, not one of the better pitchers in this season. Let's see how he fares against Santo here. In play 62, and that's going to be a fly out to Ichiro and right for out number 1. Hornsby steps in for his 4th at bat. He's 2 for 3 with those 2 big home runs. Patient 78, that's going to be a base hit. Hornsby now 3 for 4. And he's not going to try to go anywhere here. That brings up Ozzie Smith. Patient 32, and that's a walk. Runners on first and second now, and we're back to the top of the order for Charleston. Shocker, maybe on a short leash. But he strikes out Charleston. That's going to be out number 2. Tony Gwynn is only 1 for 4 this game. And that's the first defense play of the game. Looks like it's going to be an error on Beltre. This 5 is an error no matter who's out there. It's going to be a 1 base error. So Beltre bobbles this one. What would have ended the inning here instead is going to load the bases with 2 outs. And that brings up Larry Walker. Very dangerous situation here. Tough 84, but Shocker able to get out of this one as that's a fly out to Lofton in center. They're leaving Marichal out there. Marichal has allowed just 5 hits. And Blackwell will be hitting here. And that's a strikeout as Blackwell watches strike 3 go by for the second time this game. It's the 5th strikeout for Marichal. And that brings up Bobby Veach, who was hit by a pitch in his last at bat. And this time it is a pop out to Hornsby for out number 2. Freehan had his first hit of the series in his last at bat. And he will come up with 2 down. Tough 92, and that's going to be another ground out, this time to Alex Rodriguez for out number 3. The Rockets' bats very quiet today. We head to the 8th. Shocker was able to get through 1 inning. And they're going to keep him out there. There is activity in the bullpen, though. But he is going to face Musial here. Ballpark 51. That's a wheelhouse 49, and that is a home run for Stan Musial. That's his 2nd of the series. And they're up 11-0 here. Willie McCovey is another ballpark, and that it looks like it's going to be back-to-back jacks from the Wizards. And that is going to be all for Urban Shocker. And with the off day tomorrow, they're going to bring in Tom Henke, their closer. Henke coming in to kind of stop the bleeding, hopefully. He will face Ted Simmons with no outs in the 8th. Tough 94, and that will be a fly out to right. Suzuki under it for out number 1. Santo. Tough 73. And that will be a ground out to Gritch for out number 2. Hornsby 3 for 4 today. Tough 52, and that's going to be a double. Hornsby having an amazing game, 4 for 5 with 2 homers, 4 RBI. And he just needs a triple for the cycle. And of course, the toughest hit to get. I don't believe he's going to go anywhere. Nope. And brings up Ozzie Smith here. And that's going to be a strikeout to end the inning. So, end of the 8th, the Wizards had 2 more runs. And it is now 12-0. And let's take a look. Marichal has been fairly unhittable. They're going to leave him out there because it's unlikely that he would be good for the future games anyway. There is a day off there tomorrow. So he'll stay out there and face Bobby Grich. And Grich is going to get another base hit. He is 2 for 3 with this leadoff single here. He's not going to try to go anywhere, and that gets us back to the top of the order for the for the Rockets. Kenny Lofton, patient 42, and that's going to be another single. It's a single to right. Walker with a forearm. Yeah, Grich isn't going anywhere, so we have runners on first and second, and Ichiro steps in. It's the first time, well, maybe not the first time, but Marichal looks like he could be tiring here a little bit. I guess if we look back, there's only one other inning where there was a runner in scoring position at all. Tough 55. That's going to be a ground out to first. And with that 10, that means the runners are going to advance. So McCovey takes it himself, but now we have runners at second and third with 1 down. Their defense is playing straight up. They don't want to risk a big inning here. Ballpark. And that 98 is not going to be good for Alex Rodriguez. That means it's in play. 69. And that's going to be a ground out to second. Now that's going to score. It's going to score Grich. And Lofton's going to advance to third. There are 2 down. Dick Allen steps in. Tough 96, and that's going to be a fly out to left. Likely that's the last we will see of Juan Marichal, who's allowed just 1 run today. Henke still out there for the 9th. And he'll face the top of the order. Here's Charleston. Wheelhouse 79. That's a base hit. Charleston not with a ton of power, but that one was left over the plate. And Charleston gets to first safely. Does not look to take a jump here or get a good jump. Tony Gwynn. Tough 16. That's a strikeout. That's Gwynn's first strikeout of the series. And that's out number 1. Larry Walker steps in. Tough 72, and that is going to be, would have been a double play ball, but Henke doesn't allow doesn't induce very many double plays. Instead, that is going to be Rodriguez will take that to the bag himself. He throws over to first, but Walker beats the throw. Walker does not try to get a jump here. And Stan Musial, who is now 2 for 5 with a double and a homer, maybe coming out of his slump. Tough 86. That will be out number 3 here, as that's a ground out to second. We head to the 9th. 12-1 Wizards. And Marichal will come out of the game here as they bring in Jesse Haynes again to pitch the 9th in what is a blowout of a game. I believe that's who they're going to bring in. Well, let's see. Right, left, left. They could bring in Warren Spahn again. They'll bring in Warren Spahn. Spahn picked up the loss in the last appearance of his. But he'll get another shot here with a couple lefties coming up. Of course, Beltre is not a lefty, but let's... Spahn deals here. Patient 63. Beltre doesn't draw very many walks. And he instead is going to fly out to Larry Walker for out number 1. Charlie Blackwell, he's 1 for 3. He's struck out looking twice. He's hitting .450 though on the series. In play 84, and that is going to be a fly out to Charleston. The Rockets not putting up much of a fight in this one. Bobby Veach. They're going to let him hit. In play 46, and that is going to be the end of the game. That is a ground out. McCovey will take that himself for out number 3. The Wizards showing some life, facing elimination. They put an exclamation point on this one, beating Detroit 12-1 and out hitting Detroit 17-7. Juan Marichal, true to form, and Brett Saberhagen, a start that he will hope to forget. So the Wizards take 2 of 3 in Detroit, and there will be a travel rest day tomorrow, and then these two teams will face off again back in St. Louis. Dangerous thing for the Rockets is that they face Steve Carlton. They have to make it through him, and then they'll face Carl Hubble for the 3rd time. They've already beat him twice, but not an easy go of it here, even though they're up 3-2. With Carlton on the mound tomorrow, could be anybody's game, but that's getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Let's take a look at this game. Juan Marichal, 8 innings pitched, 7 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, didn't walk any. Brett Saberhagen only lasted 3 1/3 and allowed 7 earned runs, 4 homers. In fact, the Wizards hit 6 home runs this game. McCovey hit 2, 1 in the 2nd inning and 1 in the 8th. It's part of those back-to-back home runs with Stan Musial in the 8th. Hornsby hit 2. And then Musial and Walker each hit a home run. So if we look at the batting, Hornsby 4 for 5 with 2 homers and 4 RBI. Definitely a great performance by him, but lots of great hitting performances. Oscar Charleston in the leadoff spot, 3 for 5. The only Wizard without a hit was Ron Santo, who's struggled this series. For the Rockets, Bobby Grich was 2 for 3 there in the number 9 spot. He was the lone bright spot in the offense. Yeah, if we look at the others, not very much else for a bright spot there. Maybe the only other bright spot was Tom Henke pitching 2 scoreless innings there to close out the game. But by then, things were pretty much over. So we're going to head to St. Louis for Game 6 and 7 as the Wizards win in their elimination game here. They'll face elimination again in Game 6, but they will have Carlton on the mound, and he will be facing off against, once again, Frank Tanana in a lefty-on-lefty matchup. If the Wizards can win that one, they'll force Game 7 in St. Louis, and that will likely be a matchup of the Game 1 and 4 starters, Carl Hubble and Roger Clemens. So things are getting interesting here. St. Louis Wizards, 12 runs and 17 hits and no errors. Rockets, 1 run on only 7 hits and 1 error. And with that, we will wrap things up here. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Head over to baseballmaelstrom.com if you want to continue to follow the action. Consider clicking the like button if you like this video. Subscribe so you don't miss anything else that I put out. And until next time, have a great evening.